component. Love God, love people, make disciples. I think as we journey ahead, pray with us, pray for us, even as we have to ask some very difficult questions. What is the church mission? I think it's a good question for DG to ask this question. What do you think is SSMC's mission? We need to look at it afresh. Now, I think when we ask this kind of question, don't give right answers, but give truthful answers. All right? All of us are trained in school. Whether you agree, don't agree, when a question is asked, we always want to give the right answer. But I think what is more important is, as we ask this question, let's be honest and truthful about it. Is making disciples really part of who we are in our lives? And I want to just say that making disciples is not just the role of leaders, not just the role of pastor. Every one of us who has or who have that relationship with Jesus, you can begin to be a disciple maker. And we need to ask this question, okay? We also need to rethink church as, what is the church? Do we see church as a place where we equip and send people out? Or do we see church as a place where we better keep them in? Otherwise, their faith they will regress in their faith, they will drop off in their faith or whatever. I think we need to look into this balance. And I want to believe that the early church, as much as, the community of faith is equally important, it was also a community that intentionally, in their everyday lives, as they go out, they were making disciples. They were pointing people to Jesus. They were, by the way that they lived, people were interested in Jesus. So I think for us, as we move forward, I want to pray. I pray and I want to believe that we will be a church that intentionally send all of us out to love people and to love God. All right? I think the third area will be how effective and equipped is the church in making disciples. Now, this is not meant to be a criticism, but sometimes when we ask people, hey, can you help to journey with this person? Oh, I have no confidence. I cannot do it. The fact is that we have been attending church for so many years. We are faithfully going for Bible study. We are attending all the meetings. And yet, I have no confidence. I think we need to relook again in this whole area of how are we equipping you and I to know how to journey with people, to know how to minister to another person. You and I can do it. So it's not just the leadership or the pastor's responsibility, but all of us, we have the same spirit, we have the same gifting and the authority to do it. And I think finally, how can we develop this incarnational impulse? Later, during the visioning, I'll be talking about, I think we need to relook again because we only spend probably 2 hours, 3 hours in church on Sunday. We probably spend 3 hours in the DG. But the rest of the time, those times are equally important. And we need to be equipped and we want to challenge. Just as Jesus said, go. All right? Make disciples of all nations. Now, I want to just quickly look into this, in this whole area of application. I spoke to you on the first week of Sunday, recognizing the past, honoring the past, and building on the past. And we look at briefly SSMC's own history. We look briefly at who we are. All right, Methodist. And as I've said, during John Wesley's time, Methodist was a movement. It was powerful, it was effective because it was a movement. And if you draw back a little bit further, at the end of it, you come to the origin, that is, Jesus Christ is Lord. And we need to come back to this simple question. What does Jesus Christ is Lord means to you and I today? I think this is a question you have to ask. A question we need to work it out together. Because when Jesus Christ is Lord, in its fullest sense, we will know what it means to love God. We will also know what it means to love people. We will also know what it means to make disciples. We need to come back to this Jesus Christ is Lord statement. I think number two, as we move forward, we need to come back to what I call the Jesus template. We need to rediscover afresh how Jesus actually does discipleship and how does he make discipleship. I think for many of us, discipleship is go for class level 1, level 2, level 3. But when we look at the life of Jesus, yes, there was teaching. There was also the nurturing of hearts. There was also a lot of times, really, it is about the hands. It is about doing. Even as we see the master, learn from the master, he asks us to do. And he does together with us. I think we need to come back to this model of the head, the heart, and the hands. And all of us need to become Jesus' student, apprentices, and practitioners. And I think finally, this whole area, new wine and new wineskin, I think as we journey forward in learning to follow Jesus, we need to see things afresh. We need to learn to do things, I won't say creatively, but to really look into how many times the way that Jesus ministers is so different from the way that perhaps today we do ministry. I think we need to, as we talk about making disciples, we need to look to Jesus. We need to look to him as our template. We need to rediscover afresh what did he do in the gospel and begin to journey with him. And I tell you that it will be an adventure. It will mean us stepping out from our comfort zone. The normal things that we do, we know. Perhaps God is calling us into this adventure. And therefore, my friends, even as I end this sharing this morning, love God, love people, make disciples. This is who we are.